So this morning, I just have a brief meditation from Matthew 21 and the triumphal entry. The story is this: when they drew near to Jerusalem and came to Bethphage, to the Mount of Olives. This is Matthew 21, by the way, Matthew 21, verse 1. When they drew near to Jerusalem and came to Bethphage, to the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent two disciples, saying to them, "Go into the village in front of you, and immediately you will find a donkey. You'll find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, you shall say, 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them at once." This took place to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet, saying, "Say to the daughter of Zion, behold, your king is coming to you humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a beast of burden." So, Lacey, the first thing that comes up here is Jesus tells some of his friends who have been hanging out with him for a couple years now, "I want you to go into town and you're going to find a donkey, and the donkey's going to have a rope attached to him. And he's going to be tied up to like the side of a porch or something. And I just want you to steal the donkey." What do you think of that? He says, "I want you to take the donkey."
Rude but cute.
Rude but cute.
Donkey's cute.
He says, "Grand theft donkey. I want you to hijack a donkey." But he says, if anyone says anything to you, I got it worked out. Like, it's cool. So maybe he had a prior arrangement, but regardless, Jesus was ultimately Lord over every animal, beast, human, etc. So they're told to go into town, grab Grand Theft Auto, hijack this donkey, take this donkey. The disciples went and did as Jesus directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put them on their cloaks, and he sat on them, and put on them their cloaks, and he sat on them. Most of the crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. And the crowds that went before him and followed him were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest." And when he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred up, saying, "Who is this?" And a crowd said, "This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth of Galilee." Elyse, what do you think? What do you think the palm branches were about? All these people took palm branches and they're waving them all over the streets as Jesus is coming in on a donkey.
To welcome Jesus with palm trees and blow them in the air.
Blow them in the air. Welcome.
I know, like how in movies kings go through the middle of the rest of the people and they're flying and they're flowing stuff in the air.
That's right. Actually, when kings came in, they grabbed these palm branches and they waved them, but it was the sign that the king was going to defeat the bad guy. He was going to be real strong, and he was going to be like a conqueror. He was going to take out the bad guy.
So it's the same way with God. They're telling God that God can do it too.
Yeah, but Jesus was riding on what? He was on the back of what?
Horse.
Donkey.
Because they found the donkey.
A donkey. Now,
because a horse.
When you think of like a king or like a great knight or like a fighter, what are they usually riding on? Is it a donkey? Or is it like a big, beautiful horse, like a stallion?
What are the things in like deserts that are animals?
A camel?
Yeah, I would say a big camel because in movies, the kings are on top of
Okay.
camels. They just sit there and wave out to people.
So you got some kings, some camel kings.
Yeah.
Well, typically you'd have like a warrior or like a king that was coming to conquer that would ride on like a big majestic stallion. So Jesus riding on a donkey, does that look strong or does that look kind of like weak?
It looks weak, but he's making people think that he looks weak because then he can defeat bad guys when the bad guys think he's weak.
But here's the crazy thing. They thought that Jesus was going to come to defeat the bad guys. And so they were waving their palm branches like, come beat the bad guys, Jesus, beat the bad guys. But he did not come to beat the bad guys. He came, and instead of being on a horse, he got on a donkey, and he was saying, I'm not going to beat the bad guys. I'm going to die for the bad guys, to forgive them and to love them and to save them. So was Jesus coming to do what people thought he was going to do, or was Jesus surprising people?
Jesus was surprising people.
Totally surprising people.
And you said that next time when he comes, he's going to be on a horse. That's why I thought he was going to be on a horse.
Yeah, so this time he was not on a horse. This time he's on a donkey, because he's saying, I am coming so that I can actually not defeat the bad guys, but be defeated by the bad guys, die and die on a cross and take on the sin of mankind. Jesus did not come to condemn or destroy or defeat people. He actually came to die for them. So the triumphal entry was this really wild picture where people thought Jesus was going to do one thing, but he did the opposite. And people did not expect Jesus to come to die on a cross for them.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming at all. So think about, maybe how we approach people and the brokenness of the world. Do we approach it with might and power and strength, or do we come with humility as a servant ready to die for our enemies? Think about that, talk about it with your family.